Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Desiree Cassell. I'm an orthopedic and pelvic floor physical therapist specializing in women's health, aka pelvic floor. I'm a wife, mom of 3, foodie, lover of all things movement and nature, and I'm super passionate about educating, empowering, and supporting other women like you to find and maintain balance throughout all aspects of their lives, without pain, pressure, or peeing their pants. And this is the Balanced Momtality Podcast, where we will talk about all things pelvic floor, your core, and optimizing your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum recovery, providing you with the knowledge and tools so that you can feel like the strong, playful, and happy mom that you and your family deserve. Now let's get you out of those pads and back to loving movement. Fill up your water, pop in those AirPods, roll out your mat, and let's connect. Before we start today's episode, just a quick disclaimer that anything mentioned in this podcast is not meant to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. If you have any questions or concerns about your healthcare needs, please seek the care of your medical provider. This is also a safe space where we will be talking about very sensitive but important topics, such as issues with peeing and pooping, relationships, and even sex. So if you have littles around, probably a good idea to pop those AirPods in. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hey girl, we are back with another episode in the intimacy series. So last week we did have the first episode diving in and breaking up the taboo around pain with intercourse and intimacy, because it can be such a frustrating state to be in, especially if you're getting written off by your provider, you're lost searching, Google Doc is not helping you, and you're just so frustrated because this can really impact your quality of life. And this episode is diving more into the mental load and the reality of our mental health when we're having situations or conditions like pain with intercourse. And I think this also applies, just in general to pain and being overwhelmed and tapped out. But specifically today, really talking more about that intimate relationship that you are avoiding because of pain, or maybe you're doing the act and you are suffering, right? Like you are gritting your teeth and just doing it and trying to quote unquote be a good partner, but at the cost of your own body and your own safety. And this is unfortunately just going to make your nervous system more guarded, more traumatized, and more tapped out. So if you've ever thought, I love my partner, but I just don't want to have sex, or if you just feel touched out by the evening, if your brain's never shutting off, if you curl away every single time your partner touches you, this episode is for you, because you are not broken, friend. You are overloaded. It's not always as simple as just hormones being off. And I know that a lot of women blame hormones for a lot of issues, but guess why? The reality of why our hormones can be so out of whack. Your nervous system and your stress and your body play a huge role in how those hormones balance out. But obviously, as we're going through hormonal changes like perimenopause and menopause, or maybe postpartum, where we're having a drastic loss in estrogen, which is as we talked about in the first episode of this series, estrogen and hormones are crucial. Estrogen really helps plump up tissue and provide natural lubrication and decrease sensitivity. And so definitely check out that first episode, because I talk more about topical estrogen and some great tips for that. But while that is super important, we also need to take in the reality that a lot of times there might be a hormone driver, but maybe even that hormone driver is being exacerbated by your stress. And sometimes it's not the hormone driver, it's actually just your mental overload. Desire doesn't disappear randomly, it gets crowded out. You lose the space to really get that freedom to just be present in your body and feel that regulation and feel the sensations in those moments without them feeling overwhelming and making more anxiety in your body, right? And even pain. But the mental load is real, right? Motherhood especially, we have so many things we're trying to do. We're trying to plan meals, grocery shop, remember appointments, managing schedules. You're the emotional caretaker a lot of the times. The invisible load of motherhood and parenting overall can be exhausting, and to the point where, especially if you are, the default parent and you just have so much going on your side, and your partner doesn't really understand, and they're trying to initiate these special intimate moments, you are just at this tapped out space where you can't accept that positive attention. You can't accept that touch. You can't accept that emotional input from another person because you have been doing it all day long and you are just done. So one, I think communication is super helpful here. That way your partner can just better understand what you're going through and know that it is something that you're not just broken and having these issues in your body, but that you're dealing with a lot, and we can help take that load off. But we first need to understand the reality of this mental load. That physiology of stress, especially chronic stress, leads to elevated cortisol, as we've talked about a lot. And cortisol, while it has its place, if it's elevated over time, really does keep your body in that fight or flight state, which then suppresses reproductive systems and the pleasure systems. This is just how the body works. It's actually the nervous system redirecting its energy away from those pleasurable centers in the brain and in the body because it doesn't have the capacity to deal with it because it thinks it's in fight or flight. And how can we experience pleasure and peace and calmness if we're in fight or flight? We just can't. The body prioritizes survival over that connection. You cannot feel open in a body that feels responsible for everything, right? And so this is where we really need to really take this seriously because this is huge, right? I'm going to repeat it. You cannot feel open in a body that feels responsible for everything. Arousal requires parasympathetic dominance. So if your system is in that sympathetic state of stress and not in an emotionally safe space, that arousal system isn't really going to work for you. The blood is not going to pump towards the clitoris. The emotional disconnection creates subtle guarding. Your body starts to tighten, which then also reduces blood flow to these pleasure centers. And resentment shows up in muscle tone. Your muscle and your body, and especially your fascia, holds emotion, holds trauma, holds memory. And when we're holding this resentment towards our partner over them not helping us with the dishes, or because you are the default parent and you're frustrated that they're over there trying to get in your pants, that resentment builds up and it starts to create guarding and protective memory and stories in your body. And then when your partner tries to initiate anything and touch you or talk to you in a certain way, it doesn't, you don't receive it the same way. Your body is now in a space where it's like, ooh, no, we don't like this. This is not good. And unfortunately, that story and that pattern gets ingrained even deeper every experience that you go through that is negative. If you are just going through the motions to do it, right, as another to do and another checkbox, and you're faking it, right? There's no real orgasm there. You're not able to actually connect into your body. These are red flags that you're really not listening. You're not honoring your body and what your body truly needs. And the reality is here, right? Like that resentment is real and valid. That frustration is real and valid. That feeling of being unseen, feeling unappreciated, feeling overstimulated, right? Like lack of non-sexual touch can also be really frustrating if you're not getting just a handhold, you're not getting a hug, you're not getting comfort. And whenever they're touching you, it's more to initiate intercourse, and that immediately is going to trigger in your brain, nope, we don't want this. That can also create those bad patterns. So we do really want to have these lines of communication with our partners and try and help them understand what you're going through and how we can maybe offload that mental load for you, right? Like, can we create a chore plan? I mean, even I'm still surprised my husband and I are keeping up with this, but he would help me with dishes and dinner every once in a while, and I would help him. And it was just, we never really had this like strict, you do this, you do that. And so we would go through waves of one person feeling burnt out, like they're doing it all. And it was frustrating. And this is specifically just dinner and dishes. So obviously, like, there are a lot more chores to be done. There are a lot more tasks we have to do and juggle and manage. And I am still figuring that out in my relationship. But I will say that it's been a game changer for us, just creating these roles and these boundaries around like those chores. So my husband now does the cooking, he does dinner, and I do the dishes. And so there's no like, oh, I always have to do both things and I'm exhausted in the evening and I'm touched out. Like, yes, don't get me wrong, there's still evenings where I'm burnt out and done with the day. But for the most part, there's this sense of connection because we're both doing that. We're both sharing that load together, and we're both working through these tasks and to-dos together. And then what's fun about that is while he's doing the cooking, I'm in the kitchen doing dishes. We're dancing, putting music on, trying to interact with each other playfully. Whenever we walk by, he might smack my butt, or I, touch his back. There's these types of touch that still communicate like love and connection without this pressure and responsibility to show up a certain way. Foreplay doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in how supported you felt all day, right? And I think that for the men, this is for you. Like, one, foreplay, physical foreplay, is very important for a woman. We got to get warmed up, right? We got to get lubricated. We got to get everything ready to make sure things aren't going to be painful, for sure. But even outside of that, if you've been pushing your partner all day or ignoring them all day, watching them struggle, watching them flail, and then expecting them to show up for you in the bedroom, like, give me a break. Like, no. We women, and probably men too, who knows, they can chime in if they want. But as a woman, I would like to say that I think we find it so sexy when our partner comes in and cleans the house. They come in, they do the dishes, they do dinner, right? They help take over bedtime routines. Like, when our partner is trying to take that load off of us and we can actually see that effort, that is sexy as hell. That is foreplay. Having that support and connection throughout the day. Me and my husband love to send each other text messages throughout the day. I feel like a high schooler. I've just never stopped texting my husband throughout the day. Little sweet, cute notes, whether it's just, I love you, I hope you have a good day, or we're checking in with each other and having a more serious conversation, or I'm just sharing something funny or random that happened to me, or maybe it is a little naughty text to help break up the monotony and have a little fun flirting throughout the day. We need to stop putting so much pressure for the evening or whenever you're trying to have intercourse and planning it and making it this big moment. We really need to think about it more throughout the day and just throughout our lives, throughout our relationships. It's a continuous effort to support each other, to tease each other, to flirt with each other, to love on each other, and trying not to just make it this act of intercourse, right? And so there's this disconnect cycle we really want to be aware of, so that if you start to notice that you're stuck in this cycle, that we can do some things to try and get out of it. So this cycle starts with, first, we're overwhelmed. All day long, we're tapped out. We are overwhelmed. We had no nervous system regulation throughout the day. We weren't thinking of breath work. We weren't getting outside or getting quiet and still or present in our body. We're not working out, right? Like, we're not doing anything to help that stress. And then your partner goes to initiate something, and your body feels tense because it is tapped out, right? And you all of a sudden feel this guarding and tenseness, and maybe you even physically physically pull away. And then there might even be pain associated with that guarding and trauma of you ignoring these boundaries in your body. But then we have guilt, right? Because we're like, why? Like, I should want to do this with my partner. I should be a good partner. I should be a good wife, good girlfriend, whatever it is. And then it puts more pressure on you the next time. The mental load creates guarding, creates guilt, and this is a loop. This is normal, or we'll say very common, or no, we'll say normal when we're overloaded, right? But this is not normal in your body if your system is regulated. When your system is regulated, we can start to break down this cycle, because if we are overwhelmed all day, but we trickle in some nervous system regulation, and maybe we're not even overwhelmed all day because our partner is helping us, right? Then our partner might initiate, or whoa, lo and behold, you start initiating, because that connection, there's space in your body, space in your nervous system to feel more, to connect deeper, and you initiate. Then your body relaxes because it's open for this new experience and it's ready to enjoy it. And then not only is it not only pain-free, it's also pleasurable. And that's what we want, right? That is the goal. And so we want to bridge with some emotional intimacy and not just think about the physical part, because the physical part can cause physical pain. And this is so hard to get around, because if your body's feeling pain, your brain's going to guard and tense the body, and then it's going to hold on to that memory, and it's going to make it more painful next time. So we really want to start creating this sense of connection and peace and pleasure with other forms of intimacy, whether it's, even physical, like hand holding or hugging or snuggling on the couch, right? Or just having a conversation together without kids bugging you. These are amazing ways to actually get intimacy in without it physically putting pressure on your body for intercourse, okay? But there are other tools where we first want to reduce the load, right? That overwhelm, mental load. So have that explicit conversation about chores and tasks and overload of things that you're having a hard time with, and just say, hey, this is all I'm doing throughout the day and I'm honestly tapped. Is there anything that you feel like you could help me with and take the load off that wouldn't tap you out? Or do you think we need to hire some help, right? Like, it's not a shameful thing to ask for help and get support. I think that is a strength to acknowledge where you need help and ask for it and allow yourself to have it, okay? It takes a village just to get through life, not only motherhood. And so we need to be able to ask for that help and be able to delegate those chores without feeling like you have to have control and micromanage how they're done, right? Because that's the other thing. Maybe you get help on them, but you're still overwhelmed because you're micromanaging. You're a control freak. You're not just letting things happen, right? And then actually schedule off time, like give yourself a break, schedule in some time for you to reset, whether that's exercise, getting outside, going to lunch with a friend, like help with that mental load. And maybe it is with your partner to go for a walk together, to have lunch together, to actually have some time in bed to sit and talk and not just put this pressure to get in bed, put the kids to sleep, and then have sex, right? Like, we want to make it fun again. But we also want to really come into more non-sexual connection rituals, which can help bridge that gap as well. So a couple of these strategies I think are really cool, and I'm going to have to try. I've had patients try them. I've tried a couple, but there's some in here I'm even going to have to try. But 10-minute couch check-ins, right? So again, you're just checking in with each other, whether this is in bed in the evening or on the couch. You're just saying like, hey, love, how are you? Like, how are we? How are you feeling, right? Like, truly trying to check in and not just overlay all the things that happened to you that day, but like, how are you actually feeling? Have those moments of connection. But eye contact, this is another thing, just like sit in silence for 5 minutes, even just try a minute. Because I know this one we've tried, it's a little awkward at first, but it actually is really special. And you do start to feel such a connection, even though you're not saying anything. You're just staring in each other's eyes. So this is a very intimate thing to do without any physical touch. And you can really start to rebuild connection and rewire pain around intimacy. And then a big hug, like 30 seconds to a minute, just a big hug. I saw a study for women, especially like to have a healthy, happy relationship. At least for me specifically too, because I need physical attention for sure. And physical touch is one of my big main love languages. And so I need a big hug. Like if my husband comes home from work and doesn't give me a hug and a kiss, I'm like, what's going on? So just like big hugs can be really helpful and grounding. And you can really start to even regulate with each other by holding each other and breathing together. And then just also express one appreciation to each other daily. Just keep reminding each other what you're grateful for, because it's so common to get stuck in the things we're frustrated about, right? Like, oh, he left the toothpaste out. Oh, he left hair on the sink. Oh, he left the trash on the counter. Oh, he left his clothes on the floor. Like whatever it is, right there, you can always find these things, but then you're missing the beauty around you. Maybe he is helping a kid through a hard time. Maybe he's great at bedtime, tucking them in. Maybe he's great getting them off to school, right? Maybe he's great helping you calm down when you're having a bad day. Like there's so many things our partners are doing for us. And the reality is they want to please you. They want to make you happy. But when we're nagging and pissed at them all the time, of course, they're going to be upset. So starting to give them appreciation for the things that they are trying to do, and then more clearly help communicate to them what you need help with. Because yes, we think that it's obvious, but we're not mind readers, and neither are they. So clear communication is really helpful. But we also want to think about, like, when we are about to initiate any type of physical intimacy, we want to first think about regulation. Like, can we calm the nervous system down, especially if we know we have pain? So using breath work right before and or during foreplay or intercourse is amazing. Really long, slow, deep breaths. This, again, not only helps the nervous system, but it also helps calm and stretch the pelvic bowl and the introitus vaginal opening to make penetration more comfortable. And then also just short grounding practices. Check in the present moment. How does your body feel? Where are you holding tension? Can you relax head to toe? You could also just do a very simple grounding exercise where you're just checking into your 5 senses, right? A lot of people have heard of that. Find something you see, find something you hear, find something, what do you taste, find something to touch, right? Like just check into the present moment with your senses. But also a shower. A shower is a really great way to reset and shake off and rinse off any negativity, any tension. A nice warm shower can be really nice. And also just 5 minutes alone before transitioning into these roles, whether it's for intimacy or motherhood or work. Like transition times can be rough for adults, right? We think about this with kids all the time, and we forget that we're humans with the same nervous system issues, but we're just go, 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 not giving ourselves these time and space to really chill out and reset, clear any negativity from the activity or space we were just in, and then trying to create a positive intention going into that next moment. That is crucial, and we really don't take the time for this. And I know I'm bad at this because I just go, go, go between things. And it's not till I'm feeling frazzled that I make myself tap into some of these strategies. And how nice would it be if we just weren't frazzled, right? Like checking in more regularly, proactively to calm things down. And really just, again, like just expand what your view is on intimacy, like cuddle without expectations, watch a movie together, give massages. My husband and I love to do this, right? And yes, sometimes it ends in happy endings, and that's always a fun time, but we don't give that expectation, right? It's like, oh, we just know I'm going to give you a massage, you're going to give me a massage. And sometimes we don't even trade. It's like he's having a hard time with his back, and I'm going to give him a massage without any expectation of one in return. And that's just a nice way to connect reconnect with each other, especially if you feel, comfortable and you feel like your partner can give you a massage in a way that is comfortable. Because I know not all hands are good at that, but any type of hands-on just touch without that extra pressure for it to turn into anything sexual, I think is really powerful. And just having fun with each other, like playfulness, joke around, be silly, be goofy, remember why you guys fell in love in the first place, and just continue to share like your experiences with each other and remind each other of all of the fun, amazing, and even hard things you guys have gone through. You want to make sure that you aren't just going through the day-to-day, go, 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 and forgetting that relationship that you built, right? And I know intimacy is built in micro moments. It's not one big performance, but it seems like it is, right? It's like, oh, sex, that's the thing. That's what we got to do. And it's just not, right? Like I'm not going to lie. It's one of my favorite things. I love it. Not all women do. Not all people enjoy intercourse or sex. And that is okay. But if you're avoiding it because of pain or just feeling tapped out, or you're not feeling turned on by your partner anymore, or in general, it might not be your hormones. It really might be your mental load and the overwhelm in your nervous system. And so we really want to start relaxing and regulating your body. And this is why over in the Pelvic Floor Core and More app, I do have the pain to pleasure framework where there's a journal, there's a little master class, and it does break down with some breath work and some of this more nervous system regulation strategies to help you start to reconnect with not only your partner, but your own body. Start to rewire and rewrite your story around intimacy. And also know that there is so much more out there for you if you are feeling stuck, right? Like this is where I do coaching with women all the time. I don't just work with women who leak or have back pain. Like I work with a lot of women who've had pain with intercourse for years and have just been written off, and then finally get to that space where they feel safe enough to try it again. And not only do they try it, but they actually have an orgasm for the first time, and they are just coming back. I love when especially the husbands write me or they give me flowers because they're like, thank you, you saved our marriage. And it's sad, but it happens so often. And that's why I like to come on platforms like this and just preach this, because I can't tell you how many women I've come in here saying, I wish I found you sooner. I wish I knew that this was something I could have gotten help with sooner, because my labs were normal. My doctor wrote me off. They just told me to drink wine, or they just gave me hormones and hoped it helped. And it's not always the answer, okay? So there's a lot more we can do to check in to see, how is your body holding that story? How can we rewrite that? How can we work with your fascia and your breath and your nervous system to get it all in a safe space where it can then enjoy and connect? And so just know we do this coaching, but also inside Restore, we don't just strengthen muscles. We are reducing that stress load, rebuilding safety, and teaching your body how to feel open again, okay? And this is a whole body approach with emotional embodiment, nervous system regulation, but we do have more episodes coming in this series. So stay tuned, because our next episode is going to be From Guarded to Open, Rebuilding Physical Confidence After Pain. So next episode in this series, we will be talking more about the physical acts of intimacy, how to start repairing that connection in your body and reducing pain so that you can enjoy the physical parts of intimacy as well. But just know that that mental load is real. We really need to take time to check in, calm your system down. And again, this helps with pain in general, but definitely with pain with intercourse and intimacy, it gets complicated, and we don't want to forget this mental load piece of it. So know I'm there to help you, friends. All my information is in the show notes, whether you want to check out the free Pain to Pleasure masterclass inside the Pelvic Floor Core and More app, or if you want to reach out to me to join Restore, or let's get you in for some one-on-one coaching so we can get more into your story, your trauma, your body's patterns, and give you strategies that work for you and where you're at now. But I hope this was helpful for you, friends. Please share. These are taboo topics no one's talking about, and I think everyone needs to know and know that this information is there. So I appreciate you for showing up and listening to this all the way through, and I can't wait to see you next week in the Pelvic Floor Core and More show. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you've got so many other important things going on, but I hope it was helpful and you leave here with some tools to help you in your healing journey. And I just want to ask you, if you have found this helpful, to please leave a review on iTunes. Scroll down to the bottom of my podcast page and leave that 5-star review so it can help other women see this information. And also, if you want to be a part of my community of amazing women trying to balance all the things, great tips and insight and sharing stories and just motivating each other along the way, feel free to join my Facebook group, The Balanced Momtality Wellness and Support. I hope to see you here next time on the Balanced Momtality Podcast.